Hi guys, this is a little program that I've been working on and it's not finished yet. I can't offer any guarantees for it, so well, you take a risk with it, but it just takes the output from an Android program called Sleep on Android, a little app for tracking your sleeping times. And I have a circadian rhythm disorder myself, so it's proved very useful. But the export files are absolutely gigantic. Let's open one up. Just open it up in the text editor. But the files are gigantic and complicated and a bit difficult to wrangle in a spreadsheet. So here we go. Let's look at this little program I wrote, what it does. So let's open that file in there. And this is the output, and you can see it's a lot simpler. It's just basically 3 columns. But let's quickly get it into, let's export it. Export sleep. That's there. So let's load that in. So that's taken that from 605 kilobytes up to, down to 4.7 kilobytes. So you can see that's a much simpler file to deal with. There's just 3 columns. Now there is some configurability to it, but let's just have a look if we go over that. Now this is where I felt a little bit let down with what I've done, because it's insert chart. It's not particularly, I don't think at the current time it looks particularly better. Let's use this stock chart, that seems to work quite well. It's not particularly better than the output from the program itself, but you've got the data in a form that you can manipulate it with. Maybe someone else would be better than me in terms of wrangling the spreadsheet, but if you look at that you can see that the times are going upwards. Say that goes 24. Yeah. So there we go. That's got the times there, and it could be a lot better. There's quite a few improvements I could make to this program. Now, you see, the problem with me is these days I seem to be sleeping in 2 parts as often as not. So it makes a bit of a mess of this graph. And then I was particularly disappointed with, let's just see, how do we cut? Let's try this. Just try it with a line graph, which will be most people's first instinct. It was certainly mine. Let's just have a look. Oops, see daisy. So there we go, and it's a bit meaningless, to be honest. You know, if you're looking for a clear way of explaining this problem, say to a doctor, I don't think that's going to be that much use. I can see that there's gradual advancements there, but I don't think your average doctor is. So hopefully this program will have some use to someone. So I have looked into ways of sort of clumping together sleeps. We'll put it in multi-mode, and then it groups together all the sleeps that occur on the same date. Let's just say, save that out, load that in. Here we go. So if there's more than one sleep on one date, but the truth is that those of us with circadian rhythm disorders know that it's often difficult for us to decide where one sleep begins and another ends. So sometimes with me, I find that it seems like I'm continuing the first sleep when I make a second attempt, maybe after an hour or 2 hours or even longer. Other times it seems to begin a new sleep. So even for someone like myself, it's difficult to decide if one sleep is part of another sleep. So it's very difficult for the software to do it, but I might come up with some ways of doing it. But that's the sort of primitive way of doing it. So you've got start time, end time, start time 2, end time 2. That was just a 12-minute, that must have been a sleep attempt that got logged, because there's just 12 minutes of sleep. And then it was from 7:42 in the evening till 11:19 p.m. So that probably added up to quite a reasonable sleep. But you can see I tried first at 1:29. But anyway, so that just gives you in much more readable format than the program itself does. It's not got much to it. You can have US or British date formats. Let's put it back in single mode. Yeah, which is just basically the order of the month and the date. So looking at the program itself, I'm using Linux rather than Windows or Mac OS, but I booted into Windows 10 and I was able to load the program and it did seem to work. So that's what it could maybe do, with maybe some testers and some suggestions, and maybe one of you can come up with an idea of how it could better clump together different sleep periods and decide whether they belong together. Because I mean, you could sleep 8 hours with a break of half an hour at the moment, and it would show us 2 different sleeps. But like I say, the program's just resting at the moment. I'm not going to do any more development for now because I've got to do some other things. But then I'll add some more features, and that's what it could do with just some other people having a go with it. Like I say, it did run under Windows 10 on my computer. So that's it, basically.